All right. There he is, the man, the myth, the legend that is Matt Verderame. How you feeling, baby? Good
Feeling
morning.
good. Feeling good. Waiting for us to get about a foot of snow here today outside Chicago. So I'm just settling in and accepting it.
Yes. God, you guys are getting some of these brutal ass storms, bro. It just it seems like they just get more extreme, is what it seems like.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, it just becomes more extreme. Whether it's a hurricane, tornadoes, snowstorms, it's just, man, it just seems to be more and more extreme. Crazy stuff, dude. So be safe out there. So you guys, when you know it's like you do the same shit we do in hurricanes, right? You like run to the store, pack up some food and drinks and all that because you're gonna be stuck for a while, and you got to make sure you have the goods while you're in there, right? Is that the deal?
Honestly, I don't because I'm probably like a lot of people in Florida, maybe idiotically, I'm so used to it that if I have to go to the store, I'll just go out to the store. Like I have a Jeep, so I'll just jump in the Jeep and just go, which is stupid. I don't advise doing that. But no, we're getting like a half foot to a foot of snow. The thing that makes it tough today is it's a lot of ice mixed in. That's when it's dangerous. That I will not drive in. If it's snow, I'm more concerned about somebody else who's driving 70 on a side road because they don't care and they're in a Camaro and they have no ability to control their vehicle. That person I'm terrified of. But when there's ice, that's when you have a problem. Because I don't care if you have 4-wheel drive, 2-wheel drive, 9-wheel drive. Like if you hit ice, you're going off the road. So that's where you really got to be careful with it.
Yeah. No, listen, when you tell me that, I'm a Florida guy, so it's not like I have a lot of experience driving in ice.
Yeah.
So did you go to the Dallas Super Bowl?
I didn't. That was before that was a little before my time covering the league.
Well, they got hit by an ice storm. This was,
I remember. Yeah.
Was it 8-10 years ago? I don't know what it was. Something like
that was like 12 years ago. Yeah.
12 years ago? Okay,
yeah.
I don't know, bro. Time flies. And so I'm with one of my producers, Brandon Rodriguez, who's an awesome dude. And he gets sick as a dog. So I got to go out and get him some medicine,
It's not good.
And I shit you not, bro. I was doing about literally 5 miles an hour because all I had to do was go like 2 miles away or 3 miles away. It took me 45 minutes to do all of that because I literally was going 5 miles an hour because I saw idiots doing 15 and 20 and 30 and hydroplaning into the wall of the highways. I saw like 3-4 accidents on my way to it. All I had to do was get up on the thing, get off in 2 exits because I'm following, the Google thing, and boom, and I drive right in. And I tell you, it took me 45 minutes because I said I'm not crashing, dude. I'm gonna go like barely the speed when you lay off the damn brake and just ride how fast it can go, a couple miles. That's as far as I'm going, bro. Like a Walt Disney ride or some shit.
Yeah. No, I hear you, man.
The idiot mayor, she did not want to salt the streets because they don't do that there because she was afraid of the damage it would do to the streets. So instead of salting the streets,
just let people just go flying everywhere. That's great. It's funny to say that.
Dude, they do this all over the country, and they do it lots of times.
Everywhere.
You're in Dallas. You're not going to get a lot of these. It's not going to do that much damage. Go ahead and salt the streets.
I'll tell you, it's funny. So, it's funny because nobody ended up getting hurt. But when I was in high school in a small town in New York, I lived up in a mountainous region, and so people always think of New York, they think of New York City. But I actually lived 90 miles outside of it, and it's mountainous, and so. Our school system, when I was a kid, it was like a running joke. They would never close school. We could get 2 feet of snow. They'd give us a 2-hour delay, like whatever it took to get everybody into school because nobody wanted to have to stay an extra day or two at the end of the year. So we get, I forget what, probably I was maybe 15. We got like 6 inches, 9 inches, like somewhere in that range. And everybody's thinking, even by our standards, like, all right, we're going to close school today. Nope, not even a delay, nothing. Like we're coming into school. I'm like, all right. Now, I lived like 2 miles from the school, so I just drove myself, and I had to take a bus or anything. So my buddy calls me. This is like the very beginning of like kids having cell phones. Calls me. It's like, hey, man, we're not going to make it in today. I was like, yeah, your road's real bad. He's like, oh, our bus just slid into a lake. I was like, slid into a lake? Like, you guys all right? He's like, yeah, everybody got out the back door. We're fine. I was like, oh my God. I'll tell you what, for the next 2.5 years of high school, if there was a rumor of snow, they closed school. They were so terrified of getting sued by a parent. They're like, that's it. We're done. Now, post that, I went to school, college in SUNY Oswego. It's a state school in New York, which is like 20 minutes outside Syracuse. It's right on the banks of Lake Ontario. If Dan Marino was standing at the edge of my dorm hall, he could have thrown a football into the lake. Okay. You want to talk about lake effect snow? It's like Buffalo. My freshman year, people don't believe me. They can go look this up. We got 11 feet of snow in 3 days. In 3 days. They plowed the parking lots, and the only way you could find your car was to jam your arm into like a wall of snow and feel for a car and then try to find the license plate and just clear that off. It was like a scene out of a movie. People were shoveling off their like lower level roofs and then just walking off right onto the snow drifts. That's how high it was. It was unlike anything I've ever seen before or since. It was a lot of snow. Good times.
It's crazy, man. Crazy stuff. Well, what'd you think of AJ Brown saying, Howie, you better pay Jalen Hurts or I'm out of here too. I'm going with them. I mean, this is not a Lamar Jackson situation.
No.
Jalen has an agent. Jalen has also shown drastic improvement in his passing, and he doesn't have the injury history also that Lamar has had. And so I think it's just a night and day thing. I think some people think that, because of what's going on with Lamar, but I think Lamar's situation is completely different than everybody else pretty much searching for a contract right now. I don't expect Hurts to have one issue whatsoever with his contract. I expect the Eagles to take care of that, properly, because they've got the right guy, the guy that works hard and is willing to improve all the time. And he's shown it.
Yeah. And I think too, Howie Roseman is one of the top 2-3 GMs in the league, if not the best GM in the league. Like, man knows what he's doing. So he's not going to screw around with this. They know they have 1 year left in this deal, because a lot of times when we talk about quarterbacks being eligible for an extension, like Herbert or Burrow or even Tua, although we know he's not going to get extended this year, like those guys still have 2 years left in their deal because they have the 4th year and then they had the option. Hurts doesn't have the option. It wasn't a first-round pick. So they have to extend him this year. They get in a very tough situation. Here's the difference with Hurts that makes this easy for Philly. Not only has he been durable, everybody on the team loves him. Not to say that that's not the case with Lamar, but they love him in Philly. And what isn't the case with Lamar, he's gone to the Super Bowl. Like, he just went toe-to-toe with Mahomes. You could argue he outplayed him.
Yeah.
Like, you can win the Super Bowl with Jalen Hurts. You very well just could have. Like, you went to the game and you played the best team, maybe outside yourselves or however you want to look at it, 1A, 1B, and you played the best quarterback and you were right in that game. You maybe even should have won that game, depending upon how you want to frame it. So,
with Lamar, you struggle to even win a playoff game.
Right. I mean, it's a totally different situation. There's no questions with Hurts here. Like, he's checked all those boxes. So to me, I have no problem giving them the extension. I think with Lamar, you get into the whole, he's been injured the last 2 years. Is he going to continue to evolve as a passer in the postseason, both for he and the team? It's been ugly. None of that's been true with Hurts. So I think for him, yes, it's a lot easier of a deal to get done than some of these other quarterbacks we're going to talk about, like Lamar and, of course, Daniel Jones, who's not on the same tier as those guys anyway. But I think, for Jalen Hurts, this should be fairly easy. The Eagles are going to find a way to come to terms with him.
If I'm Brian Daboll, I got to tell you something. Nobody talks about this. But if I'm Brian Daboll, I'm going, well, wait a minute. You want this much Daniel Jones? Hey, get me Derek Carr on the phone.
Bro, I've talked about that. I'm right there with you. Like, if you
want this much, hey, get me Jimmy Garoppolo on the phone. I'll get him for less and maybe a better quarterback for me.
If you're the Giants,
hey, you know what? Maybe I'll have to deal with Aaron Rodgers, but you got to give up picks, that's a Band-Aid for a year or two, and you got to deal with the. To me, I don't think Aaron Rodgers belongs anywhere in New York, but Derek Carr. If I'm the Giants, okay, I'm thinking Derek Carr over. If you did this with Daniel Jones, what are you going to do with Derek Carr?
So here's the thing. The Giants have $47 million in cap space. Okay, the only teams with more are the Bears, the Falcons, and the Raiders. And we know the Bears aren't going after them. We know the Raiders certainly aren't going after them. So, the Falcons, okay, fine. If you're Derek Carr, even if the Falcons came calling, where would you rather go? I think for the Giants, you're right. I mean, I've thought about this, and I've even written about this a little bit throughout the course of the last couple months. Like, if Daniel Jones is going to really overplay his hand here and say, I want $40 million, I want $45 million a year. Like,
Get the hell out of here,
I
bro.
understand an agent has to go out and get the most for his guy, but you know what? Like, at some point, you do overplay it. That's where you have a problem, right? It's like if you play poker and you've got a pair and you're like, all right, I got a pair of tens, and you're playing against somebody and you're like, oh, maybe they have a pair of tens in that realm, pair of nines, but maybe they've got like a flush, and you just throw every chip you have in the middle of the table. That's a problem when you flip your cards over if that guy's got a flush. Like, the Giants, they have more leverage here than Daniel Jones and his agent think. Because if I'm the Giants, I'd be like, first of all, we can tag you for $32 million. So you're not getting 40 to 45 million, because why the hell do we have to pay you that? Secondly, like, if I'm New York, I am absolutely sitting there thinking to myself, there's no way we'll pay you that. We'll go sign Carr, or as you just mentioned, Garoppolo even, who I think Garoppolo is a better quarterback than Daniel Jones. So the question is, can he stay healthy?
Right, he can't stay healthy. That's his problem. But that's why he won't be able to demand a shitload of money either.
But right, of course. It's a crazy, crazy amount of money for Daniel Jones. Anybody who pays him that should be fired immediately. He threw for 3,200 yards and 15 touchdowns. He's Mac Jones. Like, who is paying this? Like, people have this weird thing about, well, he's so improved. Okay, yes, but he was improved off of being awful. It's not like Trevor Lawrence improved and went from being good to an all-pro. Like, there are levels of improvement in life.
Plus, we saw Trevor Lawrence in Clemson play at an incredibly high level. Yes. We never saw Daniel Jones play at an incredibly high level at Duke. Never.
It's a weird.
Never.
I think sometimes people just have this warped sense of reality where you look at these guys and go, yeah, but he won a playoff game. Okay, that's fine. And listen, kudos to him. That's fine. They beat the Vikings, who can't stop anybody. And then they went to Philadelphia and got beat by 100 points. And Daniel Jones looked like me trying to play quarterback. Like,
Nick Foles won a Super Bowl. Doesn't make him
a I mean, come on now. Like, that's just crazy. Ryan Tannehill went to the AFC Championship game. Okay? Right. Like, you can't. Yes. Daniel Jones was helped out by the fact he has a great young coach. He has a really good running game. Defensively, they were better than people give him credit for, because they got guys like Dexter Lawrence and Thibodeau up front who are no joke. Okay? They're really, really good around him in a lot of spots. They're not perfect. Now, to be fair to him, the receivers are awful. Okay? And he still was able to do some stuff. But that being said, I think the ceiling for him is Alex Smith, which is a good quarterback. There's nothing wrong with Alex Smith, but you're not paying Alex Smith top 5 to 8 quarterback money. That's nuts. If you said to me the Giants are going to pay Daniel Jones 3 years and between 75 and 90, okay. I mean, I think you're signing up for 3 years of being a wild card team, but okay. You pay him 5 and 200? Like, you're not even making the playoffs when that money kicks in, because you got to pay everybody else. It's crazy.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. To me, if I'm the Giants, that's kind of what I'm thinking of. And everybody's looking at Derek going to, New Orleans or maybe even the Jets or something like that. If I'm the Giants, man, I'm going to force the Jets to maybe settle for Daniel Jones. I'm going to take, Derek Carr when it's all said and done. I'm with you. It's just, you pay that. Anybody that would pay Daniel Jones that kind of money, you've got to be out. And if you're Brian Daboll, do you really want to tie your wagon for it? Because you and I know you're stuck with him for 3 years, because it's not so much the salary. You're going to have to give him a signing bonus and guarantees. And I guarantee you, it's not going to be a one year deal like they did with Derek Carr. No. This will be that agent knows that this guy's not that good. You better tie him to a multi-year deal so he has at least a 3-year contract, from here on out. That's your job as an agent. You know what I'm saying? And so that's where, man, that is a risky deal. The Brock Purdy thing, that's a hell of a setback for the Niners. I saw that what was it? It was Jeff Garcia saying that they should go with Purdy as the starter, if he's ready for the beginning of the season. Now with the swelling and all that, and they haven't started the surgery yet, that starts to become a setback for him to be ready for the beginning of the season.
Yep.
And then I forgot which was the other former Niner that said, no, they've got to go with Trey Lance. He's going to be the guy, and Brock will be the backup. In a way, I think San Francisco's in a screwed up situation because you can talk Purdy all you want, but dude, you gave up 3 first-rounders and a second-rounder to get that guy. And at one point or another, you've got to shit or get off the pot, and you've got to try to justify that move because, this is the problem that Miami has with Tua. You screwed up for 2 years with Fitz and Jabroni Brissett and all that stuff, and you didn't develop him for those 2 years. Plus, your head coach couldn't build an offensive staff. So now year 3 rolls around, and now you've got year 4 coming next because you've got to then decide on the tag and an extension.
Right.
Now you still don't have enough because Tua can play at least, but you got to now see if he can stay healthy. That's his next thing. So you're stuck in a rock and a hard place. You're going to do the same shit with Trey Lance. You keep putting it off, and all that you spent, you're never going to find out about the guy, and you've got to find out about the guy, whether you hit on him or not. You're controlling Purdy for 3 more years. He's a 7th rounder. He got more than he expected. He can sit and wait. But you got to find out about Trey Lance, whether you like it or not.
I've seen so many people in the league. Like, people cover the league who are like, well, Purdy deserves a shot. Bro, that's not the NFL. That's not the way this works. The NFL doesn't care if you deserve something or not. The NFL cares about how things look in a lot of ways. And let me tell you something. The Niners have 1 7th-round pick invested in Brock Purdy. They have 3 first-round picks invested in Trey Lance. Now,
and a second-rounder.
If Purdy proves to just be that much better than Trey Lance, then look, the best man wins. Fine, fair enough. If it's arguable, Trey Lance is getting that job because they invested that much into him. That's the way this works. I'll give you another example from this past season. Okay, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Chiefs took him in the first round. The Chiefs, for 2 years, have tried to make Clyde Edwards-Helaire into their feature back. Okay, in fact, for 3 years. 3 years. They finally, halfway through the year, unfortunately for him, Edwards-Helaire got hurt, and they said, okay, Isaiah Pacheco, your 7th-round pick, fine, play. And he played so damn well that they're like, well, what else are we going to do? Like, he's playing. And
the worst part about it was, I'm not a Chiefs fan. I'm 1,500 miles away, and I'm going from the beginning – hey, that Pacheco guy, why aren't they playing him more? Because every time he comes in, he runs. He reminds me of a young Marion Barber that he runs with this anger, this force. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know.
And he's not Derrick Henry. Like Marion Barber and him they don't have the bodies of those big backs that are super physical, but yet they run that way. And I'm like, bro, and Chiefs fans were saying the same thing and all that, and you were saying it. And then eventually he gets his shot, and it's over.
He got his shot because CH got hurt. I mean, that was basically it. And then they finally, he played so well that the Super Bowl, they made Edwards-Helaire inactive, healthy inactive. But it took all that for them to find this guy's so good, we got to play him. And I think with the Niners, the reason I bring it up is the Niners are going to look at this and go, look, we invested a ton in this guy. We're going to look like dopes if Trey Lance just flat out can't play. So we're going to give him every shot. Now, that being said, if Trey Lance goes out there and he's just terrible, then that is what it is. They're not going to lose games to try to prove themselves right. But with Purdy having now to reschedule the operation, you're talking potentially 6 months out from that operation. Maybe he starts a year on the PUP list and he's out for
I think he will.
month, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that is going to give Lance is going to make it or break it in the first month of the season. Either you're going to prove you're the guy, or it's going to become, okay, you're not the guy, you can't do it, and Purdy's going to play. But that first month is going to be fascinating in San Francisco. There's no opportunity for a slow start if you're Trey Lance. You got to start fast.
Yeah, I'm with you there, and that's why to me that's one hell of a gamble. I think this happened after your thoughts on the Fangio hire officially.
I think Fangio's a terrific hire for the Dolphins. I mean, he didn't work as a head coach, but a lot of guys don't work as a head coach or a great as coordinator. That's irrelevant.
Yeah.
Okay. Steve Spagnuolo didn't work well as head coach either. Man, his 3 Super Bowl rings as a D
Wade
coordinator.
Phillips, bro.
Right. I mean, there's
I
a
would
million.
never
There's a
want him as a
million.
head coach, but I want him
Hell,
every single time as my defensive coordinator.
If you go back and think about the Dolphins in the 70s, Arnsparger, right? Great coordinator, went to the Giants, was terrible, so on and so on.
Right. Yeah.
Fangio is an excellent defensive coordinator. He's very much like he plays in a lot of ways the same way the Eagles played defense, because he was a consultant for them throughout the year. He plays some of that zone, but he'll also bring some pressure. He's had a long history of being a damn good defensive coordinator, whether it was Chicago, San Francisco, Denver. I mean, I was actually talking to somebody the other night, and I was going over the teams I think could make a jump from being like a fringe contender to a contender. Miami's one of them because of Vic Fangio. That defense was a mess at times last year. That defense will not be a mess under Fangio. It will not be. My biggest question now is Tua and his health, because the rest of that team, look, you still got some spots in the offensive line you'll have to shore up. Okay, but
it's only 2.
Right, but it's not a disaster like it was.
For the Dolphins,
it's better.
For the Dolphins, that is an incredible accomplishment. You don't have to worry about your center, your left tackle, and your right guard.
Right.
That's sick.
So if you can like maybe plug up one of those holes, and then defensively, look, like I think they're going to be a lot better just literally because they have Fangio. So I think it's a great opportunity for the Dolphins to really improve very quickly defensively.
And by the way, I've mentioned this to a couple guys. What I thought was amazing, that they really didn't have a relationship. They kind of had a couple of conversations in passing. They had the same agent, and yet they were connected with each other from last year, and that kind of that whole thing kept riding on. That was the theme the entire time. Fangio to Miami, McDaniel. And to me, in this game, in the way it's played, the way it's hired, the way the buddy system happens in the NFL, where bad coaches float from one team to another because their friends keep hiring them.
Right.
This is not the norm, actually. Usually, if you don't have some kind of a real relationship,
right.
These things don't happen to young coaches where they get established guys like this.
No, it's a home run hire. I think he's an excellent. I think he's a top 5 defense coordinator in the league. Might even be a top 3. Like, he's really, really good. And to add him, I really think it'll just elevate the talent on the roster. Like, I don't know that they have to go out and do that much, because really, like, the Dolphins have talent on defense. It's not like you look at the Dolphins just go, they have nobody. I mean, I love.
Oh, they were injured last year. That was a problem.
That was
they couldn't run their defense because Byron Jones was out the entire year. Nick Needham went out. Brandon Jones, their strong safety, went out. And X was playing like at 70% with either 1 or 2 groin injuries, depending on what part of the year we're talking about. That, and so the pressure that you really wanted to run with that defense, you couldn't do it anymore because your secondary was left out there to hang dry. And by the way, for Fangio's scheme, it's also imperative that your secondary is super healthy, because he doesn't necessarily blitz a ton. He blitzes on specific moments. He's not going to be as blitz happy as Flo was, or even Josh Boyer last year wanted to probably be more blitz happy, but he couldn't once he lost all his secondary, overall. So it's going to be a little different in the sense, but the secondary still has to be really healthy for Fangio.
It does. I think the guys who are going to benefit most from this are guys like Jalen Phillips, who's a really good young player who I think nationally gets underrated, who's going to be on the radar after this season. Guys like Bradley Chubb.
Javon Holland.
Holland's going to be.
We talk about coverage. Oh, my God. I think Javon Holland's going to have 7+ interceptions next year.
Well, they'll move him all over the place with Fangio. They'll play him as a safety. They'll play him in some man situations. Like, they'll move him all over the place.
He's a slot guy. He can cover the slot anytime you want. He can cover a tight end if you feel like.
It's a little bit of a clumsy comparison, but he kind of reminds me of Tyrann Mathieu in some ways. Like the way
a bigger Tyrann Mathieu,
yeah, he's bigger than him, right? But he just in the sense of like he does a lot of different things in the secondary. You can move him all over the place, make him kind of the queen of the chessboard, if you will. But I think like Jalen Phillips and the other thing. Look, let's be real. The Dolphins gave a huge contract to Bradley Chubb. Like Fangio's got to make that work. That's got to work. And by working, that's got to be 10+ sacks a year. Like to pay him that amount of money. Bradley Chubb's got to be a difference maker week in, week out. Not like, he had 3 sacks this one game, then he disappeared for a month. like he needs to be a big time guy. But I think the Dolphins getting hit. Look, the East is really interesting, especially if the Jets go get Carr or Rodgers, because the Bills are going to start losing guys. And then you've got the Dolphins, who I just said I think are going to be one of the teams that are really on the come up this year, even more than they were a year ago. And then the Jets, if the Jets get a quarterback, the Jets are a playoff team. I don't think they're a Super Bowl contender with Carr, but they're good. Rodgers, they could even like advance in the playoffs. So I am fascinated by that division. That division could be really, really interesting depending on how the offseason shakes out.
All right, one more thing before I let you go. We got a very interesting thing developing in Buffalo, and it happened a couple of times this year, and now this is scene 3 of this drama. Scene 1 was a first half game where Stephon Diggs was not getting the ball, and the coach had to go over to console him, and they were hugging and talking or whatever, and then the second half, they threw him some footballs, and he was all right. At the end of the year, he stormed out of the locker room and all that kind of stuff after losing, and then came back and all that kind of stuff. So now he tweets out, and people are a little concerned in Buffalo that he is getting at it again. He says, everybody knows what's up with me. Cole Beasley tweets back to him, I don't know what's going on. You don't hit me up or nothing, LOL. He then hits back and says, I stay out of the way and mind my business. So some people are talking about like he's, ruffling some feathers, not happy in Buffalo for whatever reason. Maybe he doesn't believe in Josh Allen anymore. I don't know what the hell it is, but clearly we saw him leave Minnesota. He was very emotional. He's been, I think, too emotional here in Buffalo because I don't think there's anything to complain about. I know you haven't won a Super Bowl yet, but damn it, dude, you're on a hell of a team, bro. You're putting up, Pro Bowl, all pro numbers every year. You got a guy that throws you the ball a lot. I don't know what more Stephon Diggs wants. You know what I mean? Does he just want to play with Mahomes? So he for sure, it kind of reminds me. I did a piece this week on Eric Bieniemy, and I said this is what men have to do. Okay, forget about the black and white thing. We know that it's kind of unfair. All of Andy Reid's white assistants get the head coaching jobs, and then he hasn't. Now he's got to go to Washington to become an offensive coordinator, but I commend him for that because you've got to leave the Andy Reid umbrella and go prove to people that doubt you still that you could do it on your own away from Andy Reid. So I commend him for doing this. But when I look at Stephon Diggs, it's like, yo, bro, you don't need to go anywhere. What is wrong with you? Chill out. Don't be so emotional. You're not getting, the short end of any stick here overall. You got your salary. You got your stats. Hey, bro, it's a team game. Maybe they'll figure it out as a team.
I mean, I got news for him. He signed for 5 more years, and 3 of those years, he's not going anywhere. Because if you look at his contract, the Bills would be eating insane amounts of money to trade him. So, look, I don't know how he feels about it. I've actually interviewed him a few times. He's always been great to deal with. He's a great guy. At least in my experience. I will say this though. This is something that happens as a team, not just for Diggs, but as a team, when you have a team that has major expectations and you fall short. Then it becomes like for the first couple of years with that Allen run in Buffalo. It was a little bit like Camelot for the Bills because it's, hey, look, they've stunk forever. Now they're good. They've got this great young quarterback, and everybody's excited. And if you lose in Arrowhead in the AFC Championship game, okay, fine, you're supposed to that year, right? Then
now the expectations set in.
Now it's like, all right, but now you've got to go further. Then they lose that 13 seconds game they never should have lost, right? Then this year, you are the odds-on favorite everywhere to win the Super Bowl. I picked them to win the Super Bowl. Everybody's picking them to win the Super Bowl. They go to the playoffs. They barely beat Skylar Thompson and then get absolutely plowed by Cincinnati, who then gets beat the next week anyway.
Who, by the way, Cincinnati was going to plow your ass a couple weeks prior, but go ahead.
Right. It looked like that was coming.
They were on their way to plowing your ass that night.
It's like you sit there and now if you're a Bills player and it's like, I'm not saying it's not fun. I mean, you're still on a really good team, but now there's a major amount of pressure on you. Like oh my God,
Now you're underachievers.
are we never
Instead
going
of
to get to a Super Bowl?
overachievers,
Right.
now
Are
you're
you going to
underachievers.
be one of those teams that everybody looks back on and goes, you were really good, but you never got it done. You never even got there. Kind of like those Air Coryell Chargers teams, right? All those years, you're like, yeah, you guys were a lot of fun. You were really memorable, but like, what'd you win? Nothing.
Nothing.
And it's harder, I think, for them because the Chiefs now have won 2. The Bengals have gotten to a Super Bowl, and the Bills are just sitting there. And now the Bills are starting to lose guys. Poyer's a free agent. Edmonds a free agent. Singletary's a free agent. Like, it's getting harder, not easier. And so I think that's part of it with Diggs is like this year was supposed to be their year. And look, they wouldn't have had to go to Arrowhead. It would have been a neutral site game in Atlanta. And you got waxed. Yeah. That hurts. And you'd had Mahomes on half a leg. And you couldn't even get there. You got killed in the game. I think it's a lot of pressure right now in Buffalo. It was all fun and it was all magic. And now it's like.
Oh, and by the way, Dolphins and Jets have closed the gap on your ass too.
They have. That's a real division now.
If the Jets get a quarterback, that's going to be a lot of trouble.
It's a real division.
Yeah, it's a real division.
Instead of just penciling in 5-1, now it's like maybe you go 3-3 in that division. Maybe it's not as easy. And again, I think, and by the way, this is going to start with Cincinnati now this year too. There's going to be some pressure on that team to win this because everybody and their mother knows Burrow's going to get paid. Chase is going to get paid. All these guys, Higgins. That pressure,
you see the reports coming out. You see reports. They're trying to trade Tyler Boyd. They're saying they're not going to be real players in free agency right now. Why? Because now you got to pay the piper, bro.
You got to pay. And that's where I honestly, and not to bring it always back, but like Kansas City winning really early with Mahomes, it removes all that pressure. They won. And then it was like, okay, look, if they lose
with a bunch of kids in that secondary that played their asses off.
Yeah.
He said it. He said this was a rebuilding year for them.
And they won anyway. But I mean, but you know what? All the pressure was off with them because they'd already won. Not saying you don't want to keep winning, but you'll never have to panic and go, oh God, they're never going to win with him. They won. Right. With Burrow now, I'm telling you right now, that is going to be Cincinnati this year. Not saying, and maybe they thrive in the pressure and they win it all, but that is going to be Cincinnati this year, where you're going to have people who go, hey, man, this is your year. This is it before it starts getting really expensive around here. And we got to start making decisions on who's gone. But as it is, both their safeties are free agents. Pratt's a free agent. Like it's already going to get a little more difficult, but it's going to start getting real difficult in a couple of years.
But notice the attitudes coming out of Buffalo. They're talking about how, well, hey, lower, things are going to get a little harder for us now. We've got to pay some people. They're kind of setting people up now, right? And in Cincinnati, same thing. They're kind of setting people up. Hey, listen, we can't go out and be the kind of players. And then you hear Hunt talk. And what did he say? He said, every year you have Mahomes, you have to go for it.
Yes.
Completely different attitude from because if you have Joe Burrow, then I want to hear you say the same shit.
Yeah, you should be all out.
If you have Josh Allen, I want to hear you say the same shit. I don't want to hear, it's kind of like what I hear with the Heat at times. Like Mickey Arison is a billionaire. And I'm constantly hearing, well, they don't want to pay a luxury tax. And bro, dude, please, you're a billionaire. You don't pay taxes on all your ships. I don't want to hear this cheap ass shit from a billionaire. Meanwhile, here's Stephen Ross, new practice facility, $800 million injected into the stadium to improve roof, all that other stuff, tunnels, bridges. I don't know if you've been there, but it's gorgeous. Brings an F1 race, saves the tennis tournament. I mean, the guy spends money like it's going out of style. You need Fangio? Okay, great. You want Hill? Let's go. You want this? You want that? He pays anything. Teron Armstead, Connor Williams, he pays anything you need.
Yep.
And to me, that's what I want to hear from my owner. And so when I see Buffalo talking and trying to brace their fans in Cincinnati, and then I hear Hunt say, no, man, we got when you have Patrick Mahomes, you go for it every year.
By the way, and I'll leave it at this. You want to really piss off your franchise quarterback, tell him that in the middle of his prime that, listen, this year, we're not quite sure if we're going to be able to go for it this year. You kidding me? And by the way, okay, all these guys that own these teams, every one of them have more money than God. Okay.
Yes.
And Mike Brown, I know he inherited the thing from his father. I get it. I get all that. He didn't make his millions and billions elsewhere. The man is worth enough money. Like, they just built a practice facility for the first time. They'd been practicing like outdoors under an overpass, essentially, in Cincinnati for years. Go out and spend some money, man. Like, go out and spend some money. You will get it back in jersey sales and merchandise sales and advertisements and suites and all the rest of this crap.
And you'll be able to, if you feel like adding more seats to your stadium, you'll be able to do that. You can do all
it
those
cracks
things.
up when all these guys come out and they're like, please, can you spare a dime, brother? Like, give me a break. I mean, I'll give Jerry Jones one thing. Look, Jerry Jones is not always a role model in some ways. Okay, Jerry Jones spends money. He wants to win. He's got different ideas of how to bring in streams of revenue. And the other thing in the NFL specifically, guys, you've jumped in bed with gambling in a way that the money is just at this point just overflowing. Okay, I was at Radio Row. The biggest setups, because you've, of course, been there. You have all the tables and you have the setups around, like those big stand-up. The biggest ones were FanDuel and DraftKings. All right? So the NFL, guys, you have this whole nother world now of money just pouring in. All right? Spare me the whole, I don't know if we can sign Jermaine Pratt. You don't know if you could sign Jermaine Pratt? It's $60 million over like 4 years. That's like me spending $50 at the Gap. You can do it. I promise. It's okay. Some of these guys, man, look, it's an excuse to be cheap. That's what it is, more than anything else.
Yes, you're right. All right, tell them about Stacking the Box, my man.
All right, so every Tuesday at noon Eastern, you can check out Stacking the Box. You can subscribe to it on YouTube. As I always say, I see a lot of you guys over there, which is always cool. And then, you can check out the column, which is on Mondays. It comes out 6 o'clock in the morning. On Fanside, I tweet out as well. You can follow me on Twitter at my name, and you'll see it there also. So a lot of stuff during the offseason. I will be in Indianapolis next week. I'll be there all week for the Combine. Oh, you'll be there as well?
Oh, for sure. I get there Tuesday, leave Saturday.
All right. We'll have to go to St. Elmo's. I get there Monday and I leave Friday night. I'll text you. We'll have to get the shrimp cocktail.
Let's go Thursday.
Okay.
Let's go Thursday because Friday gets freaking crazy. Plus, Friday, is it Moe's? Do we go to Moe's still on Friday? I haven't been there in the last couple of years.
God, man. I usually get out of there Friday afternoon. Maybe I'll stay until late Friday night.
Because Friday night is where, that's right, you bastard. You get to drive.
I do. I do get to drive.
Damn
3 hours.
That's right. It's just popping in and out for you. Damn it. But because Friday usually is that big night, usually at Moe's.
Yeah,
I don't know if
right downtown there. It's kind of.
I don't know if the last couple of years, because I haven't been there because of the pandemic. This is the first time I go back in 3 years.
Okay.
So I don't know if it's still Moe's because
1 year it was canceled. Then last year it was weird. Like last year it was like kind of back, but not like completely because people were still.
That's why I held out. That's why I held out 1 more year, and that's why I'm back now.
Yeah. So I'll be there. I can't wait. St. Elmo's is.
Oh, for sure.
St. Elmo's, talking about money. The owner at St. Elmo's is like, thank God for this week. They're going to clean the house like nobody's business.
Like always, dude. Do you ever go up to the bar on the top?
I haven't. I haven't actually.
Got to check it out. Anyway,
we'll do that.
We'll see. We'll see on Thursday. We'll do some with some dinner. All right, Matt. Appreciate you as always, my man. Thank you.
Take care.
You got it. Matt Verderame, Stacking the Box, fan-sided. Follow him on Twitter at Matt Verderame. And when it comes to Red Recover, I tell you all the time, my hair is growing back. For you ladies, the wrinkles, if you're dealing with all kinds of soreness and pain, tennis elbow, pickleball elbow. I don't know do you get pickleball elbow too? I would imagine so, right? With tennis and pickle. I don't play either one. I've played them, but I don't play them. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like golf. I'll go out and go out and hit the links with you, but please don't score what I'm doing because I'm just out there to screw around, have a beer, smoke a cigar, crack a couple jokes, laugh. That's my golfing, really what it is, that kind of stuff. But hey, listen, you're dealing with soreness, maybe an old injury, maybe an old surgery. If you're about to have surgery or you just had surgery, and you've got a scar, red light therapy can help you make that scar disappear. That's why the crow's feet can disappear and stuff like that. We've got those pads for the ladies. Anything and everything. My wife uses the one for the bottom of her feet every single day, man, because she's a teacher, standing up all day. Go to redrecover.com. We've got an awesome deal going on, 30% off I don't know when they're going to end it. It might be here at the end of this month, because they just ended the other deal. They might be ending this deal too. redrecover.com. Check it out, baby. Get 30% off. All right. There you go. Matt Verderame, we step out of the huddle.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.